Hi everyone, so today is a very exciting video because we're going to be making some brand new garden beds, or rather expanding our current gardening beds that we've got going on. So we're going to be doing some no-dig beds, and then we're also going to be going ahead and planting some super exciting things for April. So to start with, I've gone ahead and laid down all of the cardboard that I had on hand, as well as all of the compost that I had on hand, and then I'm just going to nip to the shop to pick up some more. Okay, this is what we're working with. I managed to pick up so much cardboard from Home Bargains when I got the compost. I literally just asked them if they had any out the back and they gave me all of this, so hopefully that will be enough for the garden. And then I've literally got the back filled with compost, and also there's some in the boot, which you can't see, but I got 10 bags of the compost, and then I got 2 bags of landscape bark, and we're not going to pop that down today. That's going to be for the pathways, but at least we've got it ready to go. But all of the compost should hopefully go onto the ground today. So before I went ahead and laid all of this cardboard down, I made sure to take off any sellotape and stickers, just because those aren't going to degrade in the ground. The cardboard should act as a really good weed barrier, and then over the next few months it will just compost in place in the ground and help feed the plants. The cats are literally so cute. They always watch me from the upstairs window unless Elijah is outside. I think I'm going to keep this patch of grass here so that I can sow some wildflower seeds, just because I don't have enough compost, and also I don't know if it's going to look strange if I have the whole of this section as garden beds. We shall wait and see, but that is what I'm thinking so far. And finally, I'm just going ahead and laying down some compost on top of the cardboard. For reference, I probably used 1 bag of compost per metre squared of cardboard, as I wanted to ensure I had a couple of inches of compost on top of the cardboard. It then started to get a bit dark as I was doing this after work, but this is what we are looking like so far. And the kitten's just waiting for me to come inside. Okay, we're now on to the next day, and this gives you a bit of a clearer picture on what the garden is looking like. It's not very even, but we're going to fix that later on in the video. But for now, on this evening after work, I'm just going ahead and I'm laying out with bamboo sticks where the pathways are going to be going in the garden, so that I can go ahead and fill them in with some wood chip. I measured the beds out on my garden plan, but they are each around 80 centimetres wide. And my pathways are around 25 centimetres wide, just enough space to kind of walk in between them, as I really wanted to prioritise my growing space. I'm so happy with the way that this is turning out. It just is so much better than the original garden plan, where I had just the 2 strips of bed down the middle. I'm just so excited for everything that we're going to be able to grow in here. This is going to look much better once we've weeded it and levelled it out though. I have so many dandelion roots in my garden, and there's still quite a few of them in this strip along here as well, which I want to get rid of because I'm gonna turn most of this into flowers. I'm gonna sow some seeds apart from where the pathways are gonna be. My dad brought these 2 slabs round so that I could see if I liked them in the garden. He's got, I think, 19 of them in total, which should be perfect because I've got 6 pathways. So I'm going to pop 3 on each as little stepping stones to kind of go on top of the wood chip, to kind of just have more defined paths, and then maybe I can take away the bamboo sticks. I think I'm going to get to weeding first, so I've got my supplies here, and then once I finish weeding, we'll plant some things into the ground and also some seeds in the seed trays as well. And my granddad has given me these forget-me-nots, which I'm going to plant up. And as I was just thinking about it, I think I might plant some in the grass along here, perhaps where I take out these dandelion roots, so that we're not left with like just a patch of dirt, whilst we wait for the flower seeds to kind of come up. But that's the plan of action. Most of the weeds are in the back here, and these are the garden beds I had already where I didn't put cardboard down at all, and so that was from last year. So this is where the main kind of problem is. And then up in the corner there, But again, they are beds from last year, so not too much of a problem, but it shouldn't take too long. And I also need to level out the soil as well because it is quite uneven. Getting this dandelion out was honestly so satisfying. Hello, Elijah. Oh. I think this is kind of the perfect time because this one was just about to have a flower on. That one is the first one in the garden with a flower on it this year. They are pretty, but they are so invasive. This tool is quite good at getting down to the root rather than a spade. I find it often just cuts it. So as I'm going through weeding the beds, I'm also just moving any wood chip back over into the pathways. And I'm also just sifting through the soil to check that there are no big lumps or anything like that. Make sure that it's all kind of as thin as it can be for planting. And this is what we're looking like afterwards. It looks so much better than it did before. And I've just laid out exactly what we're going to be planting in each bed. In the first bed, I'm just going ahead and planting some courgette seeds. I have two varieties this year. I'm doing Sunstripe and Black Beauty, and I've done around 2 plants of each because everyone knows you literally don't need hardly any courgette plants because they just go crazy. Oh, hello. My little apprentice had clearly worked too hard this day, so he had to go inside for his break because he was getting in the way of planting these seedlings. He was just so obsessed with them. I think he thought that they were treats. But anyway, in this next bed, I am planting some cucumbers. They are a gherkin variety, and I've planted them around 6 to 8 inches apart. Ideally, you'd probably want to give them a little bit more room, but because I'm short on space, I am definitely testing my luck. Then in the next bed along, this is super exciting. We've got some mange too, and I am planting these in a circle so that I can make a pea, kind of teepee out of them, which is going to look so cool and add the perfect amount of dimension to the garden, I think. So I'm super excited for this. Okay, and next up we have some Market More cucumbers. These are a very popular variety of cucumber, especially in the UK. And I grew these last year and they just turned out amazing. They were very prolific, even in the kind of shadier spot in my garden. So I think I've done either 6 or 9 of these. I can't remember exactly. I'm probably going to regret planting that many cucumber plants, but that is a future me problem and it is something that we will have to deal with. But I love making tzatziki, so that's the main reason why I'm growing the cucumber. I also think that making a massive batch of tzatziki and then popping it in the freezer would probably last quite well and freeze quite well. So I'm hoping that that's a way that we can preserve the cucumber over the winter if we get lots of extra ones. Okay, next up, we're going to be sowing some parsnips and some carrots. And these are in the bed that are right next to the onions and the garlic because onions and garlic are a great companion plant for carrots, parsnips, etc. because the smell should deter carrot root fly. Fingers crossed. Anyways, I'm just making a little groove so that I can plant the parsnip seeds. I am being as careful as I can with both the parsnip and the carrot seeds to sow them kind of 1 or 2 inches apart so that I don't need to go in and thin them later down the line. As I'm editing this, I filmed this video about a week ago, and since then Elijah has been outside playing in the garden and he has actually dug up most of the parsnips and the carrots that I sowed, which is fine. He's a cat, he's learning, he's digging outside. So I'm just going to leave it and see what ends up coming up. But my efforts in making sure that they were perfectly a couple of inches apart are kind of made redundant now, but that's okay. I think carrots may possibly be one of my favourite things to grow. just because of the memories that I have as a child with my dad planting them out in the garden. We used to have a vegetable patch at our very first house, and my dad has always loved gardening, but I just love doing it. Then I'm just going ahead and putting a wooden marker in so that I know where the parsnips stop and the carrots begin. Again, I've got a couple of carrot varieties for the first ones that I'm sowing this year. I'm doing Amsterdam Forcing and also Purple Sun. So get some nice purple carrots, which is exciting. But as I mentioned earlier, Elijah obviously had fun digging around in the beds. So I think it might be best if I plant anything with really small seeds into containers because he doesn't tend to dig around in those. So I think that's going to be the plan going forwards. But as I say, we'll wait and see what this bed turns out like, and direct sowing is going to be fine for any larger seeds, but I think just for smaller ones like this, it's not going to work with Elijah running around. Onto the potato bed now, which is super exciting. So I've got two varieties. I've got King Edward, which are the ones that I am kind of measuring out where I'm going to pop them now, and I also have Maris Piper. So half the bed's going to be one, half the bed's going to be the other. Now, the only thing that I have to add about this is that digging into the cardboard was quite tricky. Obviously, it's only been laid down for about a week, so it's not broken down yet. And as I say, it was a quite dry day, so I kind of had to just rip through the cardboard. But hopefully they should be all fine. They're in the ground, and I did actually go ahead after I planted the potatoes and I added an extra layer of compost just to make sure that they were deep enough down into the soil to actually grow, set their roots and produce some potatoes. Now I'm just going in and giving everything a really good water, as the ground really was quite dry and I want to make sure that that cardboard gets soaked so that it starts to break down. Good boy. Oh, it's all right, Puppet. Elijah has come outside for the first time today, just exploring. His sister does not want to come outside though, so you're exploring by yourself, huh? Yeah. You want to Mummy's garden? Hmm? Good boy. Okay, so just got the garden plan up and we're going to be planting all of these in the seed trays today. I'm going to go ahead and label up everything before I actually plant them, just so it's super clear what's going to be going where and how many of each thing I want. All right, darling. I am extremely excited for everything that we are planting up in these pots today because the majority of them are herbs or flowers, which I'm just so excited for. I'm going to be making a mini herb garden within a tiered planter, and then the flowers, I think they're going to be going either around the base of my fruit trees or, as I mentioned earlier, along the kind of grass strip that we've got going up the garden. Hello, Puppet. Yeah. Hello. This batch of seeds are actually the first ones that I'm going to be popping into the greenhouse to germinate, as opposed to having them inside. We are having quite mild weather at the moment, and it's kind of mid-April now, so I think that they're going to be okay. A few of them have started to germinate already, and they've been outside for about a week or so now, which is very promising. Hello, Poppet. Careful, Elijah. I think the favourite thing within these seeds that I'm planting are the zinnias. I just cannot wait to see what they look like when they finally flower. This is now what we're looking like when we've got all of the seeds sown, and we're going to go ahead and cover these now. Elijah! What are you doing? Oh no. Okay. Fingers crossed they're okay. Don't think he kicked them around too much. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and now I'm sprinkling over some seedling compost on top of all of the seeds. I often find this method so much easier than making a hole to pop the seed in and then covering it with the compost. It just saves a lot of time for me. Now that we've finished covering the seeds, I'm just going to transport them into the greenhouse and give them a quick spritz so that they are well watered in. Then finally, I'm just going to go ahead and plant up some more brassica seeds because the ones that I started a few weeks ago were just not looking great. So I'm just going ahead sowing some cabbage, some kale and some broccoli. I'm also sowing some more celery as well, which obviously isn't a brassica, but again, the seeds were not looking too great. So I'm just going to give them another shot here. And if they don't work out, they don't. But I thought I would just give it one last shot. I am really hoping that the kale and the purple sprouting broccoli come through because I just love those so much. They are one of my favourite vegetables and it would just be so good to have some homegrown ones. Then finally for today, I'm going to give these a water too, pop them in the greenhouse and wait for them to germinate. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.